Whoa! What are you doing? Oh, I'm just playing some games. Don't mind me. What are you playing on? My 3DS. Step away from the desk. Okay. No! I already had it on there and I didn't want to pay for it again. Alright, you're on your own for this one. I can't be seen with you for the week. Whatever. Anyway, long story short, a few years ago I wanted to get some mobile games and Bastion caught my eye, so I picked it up. I never actually finished the game, so I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone and finish it and then talk about it here. To give you a brief bit of introduction, Bastion is a top-down isometric action role-playing game released by Supergiant Games in 2011. Created by a team of only 7 people, Bastion is the first title from Supergiant, and they now have 4 games, which I'm all going to talk about on this channel. But for now, let's just talk about Bastion.
Bastion is a very short game. I finished it in about 3 hours, and as such, the story is also very brief. You play as the kid, who wakes up in a very weird environment as the world is falling apart. The calamity has struck, turning almost everyone in the city of Caelondia into stone. You escape your crumbling home and make your way to the Bastion, a safe haven and final place of refuge were anything to go wrong in Caelondia. As he journeys, every action he takes is narrated by a mysterious voice. A voice we come to know as Rux, a fellow survivor who resides in the Bastion. Rux tells the kid to go find cores around the world to help fix up the Bastion, and the story goes from there. There's not a lot more I can say without dipping into spoiler territory, and while I'm not going to go there, it doesn't matter too much. Bastion's story is a short little adventure tale, but it's elevated above that by its themes. It's not something you should play the game for, but it works, and I like the way it's told.
That's about it. The story works, and I don't think it should have been done differently, but I don't love it. So while the game's story can't really be a selling point, it makes up for that in many other areas.
Like I said earlier, this is an isometric action role-playing game, and while it's not necessarily groundbreaking, it's pretty fun with perfect pacing. The game is level-based, and your goal in each level is to grab the core/other objects you'll eventually quest for and get out before everything falls apart. There aren't any puzzles or anything you'll have to deal with, but there are plenty of enemies to challenge you along the way. The combat in this game can play out however you want, as there's many different weapons to unlock and upgrade that you can use at your discretion. Generally, you'll want a ranged weapon and a melee weapon, but other than that, any combination of weaponry is going to work, which is great. You've got standard arms like bows and swords, alongside sniper rifles, flamethrowers, and even a mortar.
The weapon variety was awesome. The combat can get pretty repetitive, so having all these different loadouts to choose from makes it a lot more fun and keeps everything refreshing. You can also get these little collectibles around the world that let you upgrade your weapons, and they give you a lot of control over how each weapon plays, which is really cool, even if I just used the sword and carbine for most of my playthrough.
Enemy variety is pretty slim, but they work. Most of them offer up a fair challenge and require just the right amount of care to make them challenging to get through, but not brutal. All except these little bird things. I hated these so much. Killing enemies gets you some experience and some crystals which you can use to purchase weapon upgrades and other things too. Back at the Bastion, you have a few different buildings you can put in as you get more cores. The distillery lets you equip passive bonuses, one for each level, to help make things a bit easier. The arsenal allows you to change your loadout, including your special move, a powerful attack which is usually unique to a specific weapon. The Lost and Found lets you pick up items you missed in previous levels, a very nice touch that I appreciated a lot. The Memorial tracks your achievement progress and rewards you some crystals upon achievement completion, and the Forge lets you upgrade your weapons. The last building that was really interesting, that being the Shrine. In the Shrine there are idols of different gods which you'll have to find or pick up in the Lost and Found. Invoking a god makes the game harder in specific ways, like making enemies move faster or have more health, but the trade-off is you get more XP and more crystals. This lets you really customize the difficulty however you want, and it rewards you a lot by doing so, which is a super cool system and makes this game very replayable.
While my playthrough was short, I was thoroughly entertained the entire time, something not even all my favorite games can do. It's not the most fun game I've ever played, but I enjoyed the experience I had with it, and getting all these new weapons kept it fun and interesting. While every level kind of plays out the same way, they all have their own unique little things going on, and if you get bored of those, there are also these little weapon challenges you can do too. The gameplay didn't blow me away, but it is perfect for a mobile device, which is great, because that's what I played it on. Now, what did blow me away was the game's art and music.
Bastion is breathtaking, with some of the most beautiful environments I've ever seen in a game. First, I absolutely love how the ground builds itself as you proceed. It never got old, and seeing this world build before you while you go through it is just so cool. Everything is just so vibrant, and because of the necessity for modular landmasses, the levels you travel through all look like nothing you've ever seen in a game before. It blows my mind that one person was behind all of this art, the incredibly talented Gen Z, who absolutely knocked it out of the park here. I don't think Bastion would have gotten nearly the same notoriety had the game not brought such a strong visual presence. The character and the enemy designs also look great too. I like the cartoonish look of the characters, and the enemies had really unique designs.
The art is just phenomenal, and I think it's what drew me into Bastion all those years ago. It's just so cool looking, and for a studio's first game, they really hit the ground running here. However, this is not the only place in the game where a single person created something that completely elevates the entire experience. That's also found in the sound.
I normally don't talk about voice acting in my videos, but I have to here because Logan Cunningham's narration is just godlike. His line delivery and tone are perfect, which is great as he tells almost all the stories single-handedly. Now, moving on to the main topic of this segment, the game has a phenomenal soundtrack entirely composed by Darren Korb. I don't really know how to put it into words, but the soundtrack is very distinct and all the better for it. Maybe it's just the instrumentation or the composition, but I just really like the sound aesthetic Korb brought to the table. What's even more impressive is Korb actually sings on the game's vocal tracks too, along with guest singers Ashley Barrett and Logan Cunningham.
I wish I was better at describing why I like music, but I'm not, so I can't really talk about it more intricately than that. But I can't stress enough how good this soundtrack is. Obviously, music is very subjective, but as someone who listens to a lot of video game soundtracks, the score really stood out to me here, and it really complements the rest of the game very well. Now, as much as I think this game is really solid, I do have a few issues with it that I feel like I have to bring up.
A lot of my problems are just minor nitpicks, but I still wanted to mention them. A few times I rolled through the environment as it was building, which was mostly due to me trying to move too fast, but it was a little odd at times. That one enemy I mentioned earlier really frustrated me a lot in a way no other enemy in the game did, so I wish that was a bit different. A few of the other enemies had weird hitboxes and behaviors, but nowhere near as bad as the bird dude. More importantly though, is I just wish there was a little bit more. I don't mean that in the sense that I wanted a longer game, the length is fine, I just felt like it was a little underwhelming. Every aspect of the game works, don't get me wrong, I just didn't feel entirely satisfied at the end. Maybe it was the story, maybe it was the gameplay, I'm not sure, but the ending just kind of happened, and though the way it's handled makes perfect sense, it just left me wishing for something more.
I can't really knock Supergiant too much here because this is their first game, so obviously it's not going to be perfect, and they did a really good job as it is, but I just wish there was a little bit more to the experience. Though it left me wanting a bit, I really did enjoy my time with Bastion, I'm glad I bought it. Playing the mobile version wasn't even that bad either, because I could use a controller most of the time, although I did have to use touch controls in the menu because it was only partial controller support. Overall, I'd have to say I'd recommend Bastion. Even though I've played a lot of games that play similar to it, it's still super unique and there's a ton of really cool things going on here. Definitely check this title out, especially since it's on almost every console you can think of, and it goes on sale for a few bucks quite frequently. Are you done yet? Yeah man, just chill out, I'm almost done. Man, what a guy. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope you're looking forward to me checking out the rest of Supergiant's library. And if you are, please consider clicking the subscribe button down below. Anyway, thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.